about his forgiveness, and now we're going to talk about his holiness. And I'm not trying to share too much about Sunday school Sunday morning, but studying on the characters of God. And we talk about all of these other things, and y'all heard me say, because I just get real in my Sunday school class. I just tell you who I am. I tell you all about my temper. I'll just share that with y'all. This red hair is natural. The temper comes along with it. God made me this way. I'm just going to blame it on Him. He made me this way. That's how it is, right? So, amen, Charlie. Give me an amen. So He can vouch for that. But one of the things I'm studying on right now is God's patience. And I appreciate that He's powerful and He's omnipresent and He's sovereign and He's holy and He's all of that. And I appreciate that He's merciful. But you know what I'm very appreciative? Appreciative, I don't think I said that right. It's for His patience. His patience with me. Because if He wasn't patient with me or with you, He could be none of the other stuff in all reality. Because He would just be like, I'm done with them. They are ridiculous and I'm done with them. And I thought about Bronson. Y'all may be that perfect mom at your house. I don't know how it works, but in my house, it's not that way. And some days, He'll look at me and He'll be like, what did I do now? Like, what did I do? I'm like, well, you didn't do this. It's not what you did. It's what you didn't do. And today when I was studying that lesson, God spoke to me and I thought, what if He done that to you every time you didn't do something? And what if I had to look at Him and say, God, what did I do wrong now? Why are you so unhappy with me? So I'm so thankful for His patience with us. You may not need any. But I'm one of those kids. I am Taylor Moats' mom. And I'm one of those kids that will try your patience. If you don't believe me, just talk to God about me. And I will try your patience sometimes. Ask Charlie. Ask my family. They'll vouch for it. She will try the patience. But aren't you thankful that through all of that, He is consistent? And He is holy through all of it. And He is worthy and He is forgiving through all of it. And nothing I do tonight, tomorrow, or 20 years that I did 20 years ago will make Him love me any less than He does right now at this very moment. Because His blood flows to cover it all. So I don't know where all that's coming from. Maybe I'm just excited about my Sunday school lesson. I want to tell you all a little bit about it. But if you don't have nothing else to praise Him for being patient with you. Or maybe you make the perfect list, the A honor roll. That we have this saying in our house that says D's get degrees. That's how we operate in our house, you know? We try for B and C, but D's will get the same degree. And maybe sometimes we're skirting by our Christian life like that. Instead of putting forth a little more effort, and God just looks down at us with love and is like, well, they're trying. They're trying, so I'm just going to love them. So I don't know where that comes from tonight. But I want you just to think about how patient He is with you and how you don't always do everything just perfect and just right. And sometimes you don't even do things at all. And that's the majority of the problem. It's not what you do, it's what you don't do. That's the problem. So y'all listen to Jay sings this song.
I saw the Lord seated on His throne. He was clothed in glory, so thankful for your name. We're thankful for the fact that at your name, God, demons have to flee. Healing has to occur, God. Sickness has to go. Everything has to leave at the mention of your name, Jesus. Tonight we praise your name. We worship you, God. As we move into the message, I pray that you would keep this same spirit here of worship, God. This same spirit, God, of desire to seek after your face. We love you. We praise you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Let's give the praise team a hand. That's always like the most awkward thing to say when I'm a part of the praise. You know, like give myself a hand. You know, it's kind of weird, but as we're moving on, we're going to go ahead and take up the Wednesday offering. I gotta find some people that want to do this. Scott, can you help? Scott and Evan. I'm promoting Evan tonight. Evan, come up, take up your offering. We're going to take up our Wednesday evening offering. Barry, as you can see, did not make it. He texted me and said he's not going to make it. He's just now getting close to back from Charlotte, so keep him in your prayers. He'll be back Sunday. Scott, you want to bless the offering? Tonight, and when Barry asked me, honestly, my first thought was, again? Like, I just did this thing Sunday. You know, you never realize until you do this how, like, mentally draining it is. Herb knows, especially when you got to do it back to back to back. And so I was like, again, but I was super pumped, super excited to get another chance. And I want to talk to you guys tonight about the simple idea of the cloud. The cloud. That's the title for tonight. That's the idea that I want to talk to you guys about tonight. The cloud in our lives. It's going to be in Hebrews 12. You guys can flip to Hebrews 12, and I'm going to pray one more time before we get into this thing as you go to Hebrews 12. Dear God, thank you again for who you are. God, I pray right now that you would just give the people this word like you gave it to me. God, I pray that this would not be anything that Jake does, but it would be everything that you do. God, I pray that I would do nothing but simply hide behind your cross, hide behind your glory, and that you would get all the honor and praise for everything that happens tonight. God, we love you, we thank you, we praise you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So, if you've been here for a decent amount of time at this church, you've come to understand that every time I start service, I'm really punctual as a time person. I like things being on time. I like a schedule. I like a set thing, that sort of thing. And so when me and Courtney first started dating, I've sort of transformed her now. She's come to know Jesus. But when we first started dating, she was the opposite of a time person. She was and she's in Nashville. I don't work training, so I can talk about it tonight. But she was the absolute opposite of a time person. If I said be ready at 7 o'clock, that means be ready by 7:15. And she was on Barry time. You know what I'm saying? He was also not here, so we talked about it. She was on Barry time. I'll never get to preach again when people watch this live stream. But it was one of those things that used to irk me. It was one of those things that used to drive me nuts, and still to this day, and she would get upset if she knew I was telling you this, but still to this day, she does this thing where like she typically gives an hour and a half to get ready. That's how long she takes when she's like full getting, makeup and hair and all the stuff, an hour and a half. And so if we're leaving at 7 o'clock, she's not going to begin getting ready a second before 5:30. And what I've told her is, Courtney, if anything goes wrong in this hour and a half, we're going to be late. Like, give yourself some built-in time. Give yourself a little bit of leeway here because something's going to happen. Tebow's going to do something you don't want him to do, or your straightener's going to mess up, but something's going to happen within the next hour and a half that's going to cause you to be late. She always is we can be sitting at home from 10 o'clock that morning, and we don't got to be there till 7, and she will not start getting ready before 5:30 because to her, time is not that important of a thing. That's the nicest way I know how to say it. But to me, it's huge. And how many of you guys know that last week we got a ton of rain? A ton of rain. And my yard, I neglected on the day before it rained to mow. And so I never want to be that neighbor that people are driving by like, that's that yard. That guy never mows. And so I try to keep it mowed. I try to keep it done. But the rain was always there. It was messing with my time. And I'm going to think about rain and what it is. We get into all the spirituality of rain, but we've done that before. But I thought about what brings the rain, and that's the clouds. The clouds are what bring rain. There's very rarely do you see like a clear sky and a pouring down stream of rain. The clouds are what bring the rain. So tonight, I want to talk to you guys about the cloud in your life. The cloud in your life. It's in Hebrews chapter 12, and starting in verse 1. It says, "Therefore we also, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and every sin that so easily entangles us, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and has sat down at the right hand of the throne of God." That's a powerful scripture. Hebrews 12, 1 and 2. A lot of people know this scripture, have heard it before. But as I was reading and studying, trying to figure out where I was going to go, I read this scripture, and I began to think about the cloud. And what the cloud looks like in my life, and what it looks like in your life, and how it should look in our lives. So it says, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses. And so I immediately started to think, what is my cloud looking like? What type of person am I being in somebody else's cloud? Am I a part of the cloud of witnesses that tells people endure the race, push on, and run hard? Or am I the type of person in the cloud that says, "Oh, just take a break. I know you're tired. I know it's long. I know the road is hard." What type of person am I in your cloud? And then I begin to think about what type of cloud do I have surrounding me? You see, one of the things I always tried to live by, I forget who told me this the first time, but it said that if you are the smartest person in the room, you're hanging out with the wrong crowd. You should always try to be around people that are going to pull you up and bring you up and encourage you and make you grow. And one of the things I've tried to do is try to get those people in my life that have way more spiritual experience, let's put it that way, than maybe I do at the age of 24. So at our old church, I had this guy that I just loved him to death, and he loved me, and he would hold my hand and cry, and we would stand by each other in the choir, and we were just like best buds. And then I was like, who's going to fill this job? And then I met the man right over here, who now we're best buds. And I love to be around people that challenge me to grow spiritually. And meeting people in this church and in my life, there's all sorts of people that have challenged me spiritually. And that's the type of people that our cloud should be surrounded with. Because it goes on to say, run the race with endurance. Over the past 2 years, I've started to do this weird thing of liking running. If you would have known me 5 years ago, like, this is a seriously spiritual transformation in my life. Like, I was the guy at baseball practice that would cut shortcuts so I didn't have to run as far. And at baseball workouts, I wouldn't do them if the coach wasn't looking. I did not like to run, but I fell in love with running. And one thing that I've learned while running is that it's so much easier when I'm running with somebody. It's so much easier when I'm running with somebody. A couple months ago in May, I ran my first half marathon, and I convinced Jordan, he's not here, I convinced Jordan on 1 week's notice to run 13.1 miles with me. After he had a lung condition, like he was not, he had to go to the doctor, and Dad ran a 10K as well. He ran with me as well. But it's so much easier to run when there's people running with you towards the same purpose. And I'm beginning to think about how in our Christian walk the same thing is exactly true. Is it's so much easier for me to run my race when I'm surrounding myself with people that are also running their race just as hard. Because when me and Courtney go to the gym and we're on the treadmill, a lot of times I will outrun her, and that's just to be expected at this point. But she'll be walking on the treadmill while I'm running. And it's like, man, I really want to be doing that. But I know this is what I need to be doing if I want to reach my goals, if I want to get to where I want to be. And it's so much easier when she's running beside me, or when Jordan's running beside me, or Dad, or Thomas, or Taylor never gets into the gym, so not him. But whenever anybody else is running beside me, it's so much easier. And the same thing is true in our Christian life. So is my cloud the cloud that's running with me? Or are they the cloud that's saying, I know you're tired, just walk for a couple of minutes. I know that everything's not going good this week, just sleep in this Sunday, come back next Sunday when everything's good. I know that maybe your week hasn't been the best, so just Wednesday night, it's a busy week, cook dinner, hang out with your family, we'll see you Sunday. What type of cloud am I surrounding myself with? What type of cloud is around me? Because the cloud determines what comes down. The cloud determines what comes out of your life. Just like in the real world, the clouds bring the rain. In your spiritual life, the clouds bring everything to you. Your cloud determines what your life is going to look like. I hated hearing it as a kid, and I know that kids hate hearing it now from me, that the people we surround ourselves with is going to determine who we are. My mom and dad have told me that a million times, and so has every other person that's older than me. But as the older I get, the more that I learn the truth that is in that statement. And even in my spiritual walk, I've been around people before that were okay with just mediocrity. Going to church, singing in the choir, living however I wanted to Monday through Saturday. And eventually that starts to rub off on me. The people that you're hanging out with, your cloud, your people, your crew, eventually will start to wear off on you. And he's saying, therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, since I've got all these great people around me, since I've got my parents, and I've got Courtney, and I've got Barry, and I've got Pastor Herb, and I've got all this great cloud of witnesses around me, then he says the next step is to lay aside every weight and every sin that so easily entangles us. And again, back to running, when I began doing running and I knew that I wanted to lose some weight, I realized that there were some things that I was going to have to let go of. Right? I could not anymore go 3 times a week to Taco Bell and get my favorite. I know my order by heart, guys, at Taco Bell. I've told the kids this. It costs $9.87. I know how much to pay. I know what I get at Taco Bell. I still love it. But I learned that I can't go there 3 times a week and still expect to lose weight. I learned that I can't drink all the Mountain Dews that I love and still expect to lose weight. Now, let me tell you something. I'm not giving them up because they're still great. I just do it in moderation. But I learned that there are going to be some things that I've got to let go of if I'm going to run this race effectively. Amen. When I was training for the half marathon, I had to at some point say, okay, the night before the race, it is not smart to eat like fajita nachos, okay, and drink Mountain Dews. It's not smart because it's not going to be a good result, if you know what I'm saying. It's not going to be a pretty end result. I had to learn that there were some things I had to let go of. And in your life, the same way, when you start running this race, truly running it, not just having like the race bib and saying you're a participant, but truly running the race, there'll be some things that you've got to let go of. Because you can't anymore eat the fajita nachos and run your race effectively. You say, Jake, what are you talking about? You can't anymore drink on Saturday nights and have a spiritual walk effectively when you truly start running. You can't anymore cuss at work anymore on your lunch break and walk this or run this race effectively. You can't anymore share those things on Facebook and gossip and do everything else that you like to do on Facebook and run your race effectively. At some point, when you start truthfully running your race, some things will have to go in your life. And that's what he's saying here. Since we're surrounded by all these great people, I'm going to throw these things off of me because I know that they're going to run this race with me. I know that if I let go of these things in my life, Pastor Herb's going to encourage me, don't go back and pick those up. My parents are going to encourage me. Don't go back and pick those things up. My wife, Barry, they're all going to say, leave those things. I know because my cloud is so great that I can lay aside all these things that so easily, or that lay aside every way and the sin that so easily entangles us. And for me, those things have been huge in my life. Because like I said, I learned at a certain point that once I got real about this thing, there was some stuff in my life that had to go. And when you truthfully get real with God and real about this race that you are running, there will be some things that you have to let go of. Have to. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, and I know it's like, ooh, come back to church Sunday, and everything's great type of message, but you're the crowd on Wednesday night, so you're already real anyway, so let me just preach real to you. So if you're going to do this, then you've got to let go of some other things. You've got to let them go. You can no longer hold on to this and be a part of this. If I'm going to marry Courtney, I can no longer hold on to my high school girlfriends. I mean, it would just be weird. She would not marry me, first of all. But I can't do both. I can't make it happen. If I'm going to be a youth pastor here, then I can't be a youth pastor at the church down the street. I just can't do both. Amen. At some point, if you're truthfully going to do this thing called the Christian walk and run your race, there will be some things you've got to let go of. And so he says, let us lay those things aside, and then let us run the race with endurance that is set before us. What he tells me when he says run the race with endurance, what do you need endurance for? For long races. You don't need endurance for a 50-yard sprint. You don't need endurance, some of you may. You don't need endurance for a 20-yard jog, mom. You don't need endurance for those things. But for a long race, you need endurance. He's telling you right here, hey, this is going to be a long road ahead. This is not just a cakewalk down the yellow brick road to just walk into heaven and get free stuff. This is going to be a long race. This is going to be a long run. So learn to have some endurance. Learn to have some tough skin. Guess what? Me and Lisa were talking about this before service. There's going to be people probably inside these walls that don't love every single thing that you do. That doesn't mean you get mad, you quit, and you're upset, and you leave, and you do everything else. Learn to run this race with endurance. If people got mad at Jesus, they're probably going to get mad at you as well. Learn to run this race. Learn to run this race as a person that's seeking the finish line. Somebody that seeks the finish line does not let obstacles stop them. I remember my first race, my first 5K, I was trying to get my best time in the world. And every mile they're stationed out with little water stations trying to give me water. And I was like, no, that's going to hurt my time. I'll just drown it. I'll dehydrate before I get to the finish line. But I'm not stopping to get water. I want my best time. Those were obstacles. And I was like, no, I'm not stopping for those. But yet in our Christian walk, so many times an obstacle comes, somebody says something at the church. Somebody doesn't say something. Somebody didn't say hey to me this Sunday. Well, guess what? Well, there's a lot of people in this place, okay? We'll just make a video message of Mary right there by the clock saying, hello, church, is what we need to do. And there's going to be some point that he can't get to you. But guess what? He still loves you. He still will do anything in the world for you. There's going to be some points that I can't talk to every single kid that comes here and welcome every single visitor. But guess what? You're still welcome, and we still love you, and the church still wants you here. We've got to learn to run this race with some tough skin. You need endurance for this race. You need to have endurance because it's not always going to be easy. It's not going to be short. It's not going to be long. And then I love this end part. It says, looking, verse 2, looking unto Jesus. How much easier is it to run your race when you're looking at the finish line? When you can see that finish line, a sprint comes on and a new energy comes on like never before. Guess what? Meeting Jesus face to face is your finish line. Run your race looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. Not only is he the one that writes your story, but he's going to be the one that finishes your story when you let him into your life. He's going to be the one that was there from the beginning and the one that was there all the way to the end. The author and the finisher of your faith. And then this is my favorite part. Who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross. Amen. What does that mean? It does not mean that the night before Jesus was going to hang on the cross, he was just sleeping like a baby. And so I can't wait to go to the cross. I can't wait to die. I can't wait to get beat on. I can't wait to get He wasn't doing that. How do I know? Because the word tells me that he was pleading with God. If anything else is possible, let's try another route. If any other way is possible, let's do something else. He wasn't just happy-go-lucky to go die on a cross, but he was willing. And there's a lot of times in our lives that you may not be happy-go-lucky to do something that somebody asks you to, but you've got to be willing always to do something in the church. So he says he was in, for the joy that was set before him, he endured the cross. He realized that his pain, and I've preached this before, but he realized that his pain served a purpose. He realized that his suffering was for your salvation. He realized that if he can endure, he can give you a hope. And so he was by no means thrilled to go do this, to get beat on and mocked and spit upon, but for the joy that was set before him. When I'm running a race, it's not always like, oh man, I just love running. I can't wait to run today. I just love it. It feels so great to be out of breath. It feels so great for my legs to hurt. It feels so great to be tired. But I understand the joy that's coming is greater than the pain that I'm currently facing. And when we can get to that point in our Christian lives, that the joy that's coming is greater than the bad day that you're having. The joy that's coming one day is greater than the disease that's going on in your life right now. Or the divorce that's going on in your family. Or the hurt. Or the bondage. Or the addiction. The joy that's coming is greater than the pain that you face right now. And so it says that he realized that and he endured the cross, despising the shame, and has sat down at the right hand of God. You know when he sat down? When the job is done. He comes down to earth, he does his job, he goes back up to heaven, and he says, hey, it is finished. Forevermore, they have hope because of what just happened. Forevermore, they have forgiveness because of what just happened. Forevermore, they have salvation if they will seek it because of what I've just done. And so, as they come up and get ready to play and close out this thing, I want to talk to you guys, and I want to challenge you for just a couple more minutes to truly think about this. Number one, what does your cloud look like? Who are your people? Is it the cloud that's running with you? Is it the cloud that's pushing you to improve your time, to get better, to get stronger, to get faster? Or is your cloud the cloud that's saying, just take a break. Let's take tonight off of the gym. That's Taylor's problem. Let's take the gear off the gym. That's Taylor's problem. Let's take a break. You don't need to run today. You don't need to eat good today. You don't need to do this today. If you will just learn that your cloud is important. And then he goes on to say that you have got to learn that the joy that is coming is greater than the pain that you're currently facing. When you begin to realize that, everything changes. Your whole perspective changes. When you think, I'm going to see Jesus face to face one day, that cancer doesn't seem so bad anymore. When you begin to realize, I'm going to see Jesus face to face one day, that bad work day doesn't seem as bad anymore. When you begin to realize that the joy that is coming cannot even compare. It's not even close. It's not even like, well, this is pretty good and this is pretty, it's not like we're weighing on a scale. It's not even close. The joy that is coming cannot compare to what you're currently going through. Jesus realized this. He realized, hey, the joy that's coming for Casey and for Scott and for Elisa, the joy that's coming for them is so much greater than the pain that I'm feeling right now while they drive these nails through my hands. The hope that's coming to Miguel is so much greater than the pain I'm feeling and the frustration when they're spitting on my face. The freedom that's coming for Alexis and Chandler and for Evan and Hannah Grace is so much greater than the suffering when they drive the nails through my feet. He got this revelation that even though there may be pain right now, there's joy coming in the future. Because if you guys have done any of your research, you know how this thing ends. We win. Jesus comes back. We go to live with Jesus forever and ever and ever and ever and ever more. There's no end to it. The joy that is coming, I'm going to encourage somebody tonight, the joy that is coming to you one day cannot compare to the suffering that you are currently going through. Maybe you just need to come tonight and hear a little bit of encouragement. No matter how bad your day was, no matter how bad your week is, no matter how low your family seems, no matter how gone come pray, but maybe it's just a moment to just worship Him and say, God, I thank you for the joy that's coming tomorrow. Weeping may endure for the night, which you know the second half of that verse, but joy comes in the morning. It may not be tomorrow morning like you want it to be, but joy is coming. There's an end date to your trial. There's an end date to that addiction. There's an end date to that bondage. There's a moment where at some point, Jesus is going to look Satan straight in the eye and say, let him go because he is mine. Let her go. Let my daughter go. Let my son go. You've held them in bondage long enough. They are free in the name of Jesus. There's an end date to your suffering. As they sing, or as we sing, as they sing, I want you guys to take a couple minutes and just say, God, thank you. Thank you for you dying on the cross for me. You endured the cross. Despise the shame. You're the author and the finisher of my faith, and now you're seated at the right hand of the throne of God, intercessing for me, praying for me when I can't pray for myself, lifting my name up when I can't even pray, because I've realized, as Jesus said, the joy is greater than your current pain. So as they sing, let's just take a couple minutes and worship Him and say, God, thank you. Thank you for your suffering so that I can have joy. It doesn't make any sense for somebody else to suffer for another person's joy unless one thing, they love it. I would not suffer for just a random stranger down on the street. I'm sorry, but I'm not Jesus. But if I knew that it was going to bring Courtney some joy, I'll go through a little bit of suffering. If I knew that it was going to bring you guys some joy, I might go through a little bit of suffering. But Jesus said, for the stranger, I'll go through the suffering. For the person that will never step into my house, I'll go through the suffering. For the person who lives in addiction, I'll go through the suffering. For the person who lives in sin, I'll go through the suffering. Because one day they may see my face and realize what I've done for them. So as they say, let's just thank Him for suffering for our joy. she feels like the worst mom in the world, and I guarantee she's not the only one. When you're having those days where you feel hopeless, you feel worthless, you feel like there's no point in your life, I just want to remind you that Jesus said that you were worth the suffering. You. Not the polished up, cleaned up heaven version of you, but the messy, earthly, sinful version of you was worth the suffering. You're worth Jesus' life. Maybe you don't feel any value here, but you are worth His life. He endured the cross. He went to the grave, and He rose for you. You are worth it. You have value in Jesus. Let's pray. Dear God, thank you for being who you are. God, thank you for just simply enduring the cross for me. God, if nobody else can say thank you, let me take just a minute to say thank you for going to the cross for me. For an undeserving, unearned person, God, you went to the cross and you were beaten, you were mocked, so that I could have a hope, so that I could have a chance. And God, I just want to take this time right now to say thank you for the blood that was shed, for the grave that was came out of, and for the King that's coming back. God, let me just say thank you. God, I pray as we go out of this place that we would just be encouraged by knowing that the joy that is coming cannot even compare to the pain that we're currently feeling. Cannot even compare to what we're going through right now, God. When we're having a bad day, when we're having a bad week, I pray that we remember the joy. We win the race. We are the victorious ones, God. We don't lose this thing. Thank you for enduring the cross. Thank you for suffering with us. Thank you for walking with us through the trials. God, as we go to work tomorrow, as we go to school tomorrow, wherever we go, let us do everything we can to shine the light of Jesus Christ in our hallways, in our jobs, in our offices, in our families, and everywhere that we go. Let us shine your light so bright that people would have to question us. That people would have to ask us, how do you smile when everything's going wrong? How do you have joy when your life is falling apart? God, let us shine your light in such a bright way that people are drawn to it. People come to know you, Jesus. We love you, we praise you, we thank you for everything you've done tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Hey guys, remember to invite as many people as you can for Sunday. Let's pack the place out for Pack and View Sunday.